You write at one point that there is, I think what you describe as a sweet law, that the person who should be scrutinising your work almost inevitably does.
Yeah.
Who's that for this book?
Well, in this case, I once wrote a piece not long after I made my discovery of the family secret about my Jewish self, and it was called On Not Knowing the Half of It. And it was published in an incredibly obscure magazine in New York, Literary Quarterly, edited by a guy called Ben Sonnenberg. Probably a circulation of about 2,000 people. And then it did get reprinted. Actually, it won a prize. It was chosen for the best American essays of that year. So it was promoted to a slightly more widely circulated book, probably 10,000 readers. And then it got picked up here and there. And eventually, I knew it would happen. Someone wrote to me and said, "I'm your mother's cousin." It's bred on the waters. It's bound to happen. And I know exactly where Nathan Blumenthal came from, and I can give you directions to the old town in Poland. It took a long time. It's the same if you decide to use the word clitoris or something in an article. You think, my Aunt Grace in Tasmania will never see this piece. She's just
and
not...
the one day...
I can safely say clitoris, she's never going to see it. And then at Christmas...
That's what Aunt Grace searched to find the article.
At Christmas, a letter arrives, and it's Aunt Grace from Tasmania, and she encloses a teddy bear because she's forgotten how old you are and so on. She said, I do try and follow your career, dear, and I understand that I'm so thrilled that you're a writer, but someone sent me the most extraordinary article the other day where you used this word that I couldn't believe you were doing it. Ah, nice. No, you realize all your life is lived in public. Yeah.
Well, I asked you earlier about the hardest bit of the memoir to write. We didn't quite get round to the easiest or the most fun. What was that?
Oh, the easiest is the chapter about Martin Amis, who is the only blonde I've ever really loved, or loved passionately and for a long time, and who's been a huge influence on me and is my best and my dearest friend, and who I didn't think of putting it quite like this when I wrote the chapter, but what it really is an answer to the question, or an attempted answer to the question, can you have a heterosexual relationship with a chap? And my answer to this is probably not, but I'm willing to give it the old college try.
And indeed, you've given many things the college try.
It's a love letter chat. Yeah, the old college try has been a feature. Yes. Where you... Oh, no, I see, yeah. Well, go on then.
Well, no, you go on.
No, you're the boss.
Well, no, I mean, I was interested in that. I mean, you talk with unusual candour about your homosexual sexual experiences, but then you talk about your friendship with Martin in a very different register. Are they entirely separate things?
Yeah. I mean, the gay moments in my life were all when I was very young, and when, as it were, if you were looking for an excuse, it would be, well, there aren't any girls around here anyway. They've locked us up in a monastic school, and what do they fucking expect?
Well, that's what they expect. Yeah,
that's what they expect. Whether they expect it or not, that's what they got. But the emotions could be involved as well.
Well, that's right, and you do talk about those experiences being experiences of love as well.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Well, the other reason I decided to include all this was, I live in a country where every now and then, and actually quite strongly at the present time, there are attempts to have homosexuality defined as a disease or a disorder. And not only in the United States, but by the Catholic Church and others. And I thought, well, I think as a minor gesture of solidarity, I might as well say what 90% of male heterosexuals know, which is that gay experience is not unknown to them. And that, furthermore, that homosexuality is a form of love, not just a form of sex, and demands respect and, if you want, protection on those grounds alone. So, to the extent I can contribute to that recognition, I ought to probably do so. God, you wouldn't have thought there were so many bum baggers in an Australian audience. I thought mateship in Oz was strictly platonic.
We don't do Plato here. But to Martin, that's a very different...
No, well, with Martin, the subject we had in common was very intense, very deep-going, very ruthless scrutiny of the woman question, as viewed from every conceivable angle. This never over, the subject absolutely never over, and always ready to resume it, and fascination with it.
Well, that's not something you write about much.
Well, no, because again, I don't have copyright in those ladies. More's the pity.
And one of the things that really comes across in your friendship with Martin, but also many other people, is the tremendous fun you have. You seem to be quite good at fun, and in particular wordplay. What's your favourite word game?
I was very lucky with Martin and others in the late 70s. We had a sort of lunch club every Friday in somewhere roughly between Bloomsbury, Soho and Fleet Street, that world, where we'd all meet with Clive James. And I should say, I almost feel like pausing for a second in memory, the late Peter Porter, one of Australia's most beautiful and brilliant exports to, if he was an export, I think he always felt Australian, to England, and one of the great contributors to English poetry and poetry criticism, and Terry Kilmartin, the translator of Proust, who was the books editor of The Observer, and a few others. And yeah, we would try and improvise word games. Do you want the inexpensive one? Because it had to start low and then build.
Start medium, but let's get to the high bits.
If you change the word heart in any common poem, title or song, to the word dick.
Total eclipse of the dick.
Sounds cheamed at total eclipse of the dick.
Yeah.
I left my dick in San Francisco. Don't go breaking my dick.
Dick Break Hotel? No.
Down at the end of Lonely Street in Dick Break Hotel. Yeah. That's when your dick aches begin. The dick is a lonely hunter. So I can do this for quite a long time.
Yes.
We did the hard thinking about heart dick. Then you see, you play this, it's quite puerile, you'll agree. It's pathetic to be laughing at this kind of thing. But then one day, Woody Allen is interviewed about running off with his adopted daughter and setting up house with her. And he says, well, the heart wants what it wants. Makes it all worthwhile. So then things would improve a little bit, and say the greatest player of all these games, and the man who really raised the whole level, about whom I have a whole chapter in. But by the way, the book is called Pitch 22, and it's published by Allen and Unwin. Available at fine bookstore.
Yeah.
I can sell it to you afterwards. The whole chapter about Salman Rushdie, who is a genius at this kind of thing. And with Salman one day, it was a dinner, and someone arrived late, having been delayed on a flight. And he said, I had a terrible time being delayed on this plane. And not only was it a bore being delayed, but there was nothing to read at the airport bookstore except Robert Ludlum stuff. And he said, and I had to buy one. And I knew it would be bad, but I had no idea how bad it would be. And that didn't seem very controversial or interesting. So he went on about it, though, and said, it's the titles, these crap titles like, I don't know, the Eiger sanction, or you know how it goes. They're so bad I can't even remember them, but you know what I'm talking about. And then, by good chance, someone said, well, what would a Shakespeare play be like if Robert Ludlum had written it? And Salman looked up like that and said, okay. And I said, all right, well, what would Hamlet be? And he said, the Elsinore vacillation. With no more time than I gave you. And I said, well, all right, but you can't do that twice. What about Macbeth? He said, the Dunsinane reforestation.